I'm going to talk today about the importance of a place for meditation, the importance of time, and the importance of renunciation. A place in one's home or one's living space, whatever that may be, whether it's a house or a apartment or even a studio, is essential. It's more important than we realize, because just having it there attracts us to it. Just like having a bed in an apartment attracts you to the bed to sleep. Or the kitchen, of course, with the refrigerator. So we have a place for our bed and the refrigerator, which we go to because of their diverse attractions. But oftentimes people don't have a place fixed for just meditation, nothing else. Not study, not watching TV, not looking at their laptop or phone. And it's surprisingly important because it draws you to it. And just having it there, not to mention the convenience of having it a specific place where you have a small altar, you light incense, you have some photos or deities or whatever you want as meditation supports, maybe a book or maybe 2 books. And if you have that in your home, it works very well. Sometimes people do not have the space, or say they don't, but I once knew someone that I made this suggestion to that cleaned out a closet in her house and just used that for meditation. And we actually inaugurated that spot together. Had a first meditation in it, and it was great. If it's there, you'll use it. And psychologically, it's very, very good. You orientate yourself to that spot. It sort of becomes an empowered spot. That sounds very metaphysical, I know, but it actually works out like that. You identify it, your energy is there, you use it properly just for that purpose. And it becomes a spot that you look forward to going to and sitting in. And especially when you don't use it for anything else whatsoever. In the past, I've had homes and I've had apartments. I've lived in caves. And always I had a meditation spot. When I'm traveling, as I have often in my life, as soon as I enter a motel or an apartment, as soon as I walk in, get my keys and enter the room, the first thing that gets set up is an altar. It's set up properly, without somewhere where my feet aren't facing towards it when I'm sleeping. Sometimes I rearrange furniture a bit. I always travel with enough material to set up a proper altar, maybe some candles, a Buddha image, photos, usually a thangka, and that's it. And then when I'm traveling, it's kind of like brings home along with me. So place is really super important for establishing a meditation practice. You don't want to just wake up in the morning and meditate in bed. That's really lame. Keep in mind that meditation is an offering. It's an offering to the deities. And if you can't get up and wash your face, clean up a little bit, and you just get up and in bed and meditate. Very, very bad habit. And I've seen people that consider themselves advanced practitioners doing it, but anybody that's advanced or thinks they're advanced is doing that, just doesn't know what's happening. So when you're traveling also, set up a place, have a place. And it's especially nice when you're traveling, because often when you're traveling, you're scattered. Your energy is here or there, and so it gives you a place to ground. Another aspect of meditation that's equally important is time. Time is vital. It's as vital as having a good time, a proper time to eat. You're nourishing your mind, and you have a time when you plug in just for that purpose, and your body kind of centers around that time, even when you're unconsciously, when you're not realizing it. So having a time really works, and having a specific amount of time. Now that varies for everyone, and this particular video is mostly for people that are intimidated by meditation, don't want to start, or don't think, or they've tried it, they don't like it. And having been around enough in with beginner meditators and seeing why they quit, why they become intimidated by meditation, it becomes sometimes pretty easy to see, often. So, as far as time goes, we want to have a specific time every day and a specific amount of time every day that we meditate. When that time is up to us, and we should just have it as according to what works for us. Early mornings are said to be the best. Nagarjuna points out 3 to 5 is the best, when the cosmos is most subdued. It probably is. I've meditated at that time a good part of my life. I've now reduced it to just before sunset beginning and sunrise, and then in the evenings until 10 or 11. So that's up to an individual, but the point of time is to build a practice, not so much to for anything else, but to have something to build upon. So basically the time that we practice is to have a baseline of practice. By baseline, I mean something that you know you will do, and then everything above that, all the better. But you have something that's about a base that you don't go below. It's just like the fuel tank on your gas gauge. You don't go below the empty mark. That's your baseline. Meditation baseline should be pretty low too. So you do it. Otherwise, you might not do it. If you're too aggressive, like if it's difficult to sit an hour and you set your time every day for 1 hour, you're not going to be in the game very long. You're going to get discouraged and quit, because meditation results don't come easily, and they come over a long, long, long period of time. So you've got to set a baseline that keeps you in the game. And so you're not focusing on the fruit of the path, but the path itself becoming enjoyable. So whatever you can practice comfortably, cut it in half and say, I'm going to do this every single day, and I'm going to do it at this particular time. So that modest approach will assure that you do it every day, because it's easy. And logically and intellectually, you know that, well, this is something I could do. Whether I get results or not, who cares? I'm going to give it at least this much. So you have that time, and you have that amount of time. And then, if you want to, if you have some free time or something, you can always add a little extra time here and there, but you don't miss the baseline. If you have to miss the baseline because of an appointment or some meeting or something comes up that you just can't avoid it, then you reschedule that particular sit. You double up somewhere else or triple up, whatever you have to do. If you do that, you won't be serially missing meditations. You'll know that, well, I'm going to have to make it up, so I'll do the best I can to make all of these sits. And if you cannot, then you reschedule and double up somewhere else. And this assures that your practice stays even all the way through, all the time. You never fail. You never don't show up for yourself. You're always there for yourself, supporting yourself in your practice. So the time of day and then the place. And another advantage of the time of day that I almost forgot to mention is that if you meditate at a specific time over a period of weeks and months, people start knowing that that's your time that you practice. They don't call you at that time. They don't show up at your house. You don't invite you out for lunch or dinner because they know that that's your time of practice. Not only that, when other friends and family see you meditating every day at a specific time, they may ask to join you, which is fine. Or they might be encouraged to do the same thing themselves. So there's good karma for both, the one you're influencing and yourself. One of the most important practices for anyone who meditates is renunciation. Now, renunciation, everyone knows what that is. Its purpose is to reduce distraction, latencies. And these latencies can be very powerful and very distracting in meditation. So the less outflow you have when you're not meditating, and unless you're tending to your business, what you have to do, responsibilities and so forth, eating and sleeping and wearing clothes and going about your day, the less cravings and hankerings you have, the less those cravings and hankerings will be the subtext that distract you during your meditation practice. So you don't want to be meditating on the one hand and then doing things counter or contradictory to meditation on the other hand. So you don't want to be, when you're off the meditation cushion, first thing you do is, first thing you think about is some craving or hankering or something. Then your practice isn't going very well. And during the whole meditation practice, a lot of times we have a subtext going on about something we want to, eat, something we want to buy, something we want to do. And a lot of what we could call frivolous mental activity, things that we don't really, that's not really constructive. It may not be destructive, but it subverts the primary enterprise that meditation is. Because meditation, it will not happen without non-attachment. And non-attachment will not happen without renunciation. They're all connected. So, this doesn't mean that a poor person is the only one who can practice renunciation, because very, very wealthy people practice renunciation too. Very, very well-to-do people practice renunciation. It's just not following hankerings. It's being smart enough to know where your mind is, you know, craving this or craving that or hankering after this, when something, you know, mid-range object would do fine. The importance of that mid-range object is very, very, very fundamental to renunciation, because we do need the things in our lives, but we don't always have to have what we are craving or hankering after. It will probably become, you know, something that we will be hankering after again when they, and again and again and again, because things change and we're never satisfied with anything for very long. Anything that we desire today, even if we get it and we really crave it, that thing will cause us, it'll be the cause of future similar feelings towards an object, even that particular object again. So craving and hankering after things breeds craving and hankering after things, and craving and hankering after things becomes the subtext of our meditation practice. So if we satisfy ourselves with mid-range objects, then our practice is very easy to get absorbed in the nature of the mind itself, because all happiness, the happiness we think to receive from events, people, things, comes from the mind itself. That's where it comes from. It doesn't come from the objects. And if we behave like it doesn't really come from the objects, and we're satisfied with, you know, well enough is well enough. It doesn't have to be the best. As Sri Yukteswar said, why not throw the dog a bone? You know, when somebody was talking about fasting, you know, because being an ascetic can be, you know, a form of craving too, believe it or not. And so when a student said, well, can I fast? He says, well, why not throw the dog a bone? In other words, why go to the extreme? You know, mid-range. You know, just eat less. So the fancy shirt, fancy car, kind of things, hey, you need a car, you need a shirt, but it doesn't have to be the best. If it works, it works. And then you will not have these kind of, you will not form in your mind the attachment to things that create the idea that happiness comes from them. And you will foster the idea that happiness comes from the mind. And it's the mind that your meditation practice seeks to realize and understand and derive great joy and happiness from. So these three things cannot be overemphasized as far as building a meditation practice. And whether one's beginning to or has been practicing quite some time, these are three fundamental things. And renunciation especially it can be very, very, very subtle. And even people that have been practicing all their life continue to work on it. They may have the time down, they may have the place down, but renunciation goes from coarse to very, very, very subtle. I mean, it can go all the way to renouncing the breath itself, which is breath mastery, and that's another topic. So this is today's Sunday, let's see, it's July 5th, 2023, video on Dharma practice.